Hey guys, I hope everybody's doing well, and we're just gonna use this kind of format for the next couple weeks probably. So we are in the last part of chapter 4. So we're just gonna talk about like using for loop for counting and kind of using that in addition to things you have been learning along the way. So what I had originally planned for you to do on Wednesday was this activity under week 10. So this activity is this one. Essentially, what I wanted you guys to do is kind of use a couple different methods that we have not used before to kind of look at different characters of strings and determining, different things. For instance, if a character is uppercase or lowercase. And then in addition, there's a couple more I wanted you to do. So the idea here is what if I have a string of characters and I want to iterate over each character of the string and determine if that character is actually uppercase or lowercase or whatever exactly I wanted to do. So there is this method which is actually called character.isUppercase, and also there is another method which is character.isLowercase. These two methods take one single character and they return a Boolean value. So whether it's true or false, depending on the char, this guy, that you want to pass. So let me show you how that would work. So I have Eclipse open. So let's say I have a char B, which is the character B. And then what I want to do is call this method, which is you would have to use character as is. It's kind of like special class, just like system or whatever other class it is. And then Eclipse really does a good job in recommending all different methods that fit within any class that you want. So is uppercase, and then I just want to actually do, pass B. Now, one thing I just want to go back and kind of helping you to figure out what each one does. So if you look, this method returns a Boolean, and then if you read over here, it should tell you pretty much what this method would do, and in this case, it's really self-explanatory. So we're not gonna really talk about it, but notice we have two different methods with the same name. You could either pass this method a character, or you could pass it an integer, but in this case, we're just passing the character B. So is uppercase B, and again, it returns a Boolean. So let's actually have Boolean val, and then if I do s out val, let's see what I actually get. I obviously get false. So now if I change this to B, uppercase B, run this, it actually now returns true. Okay, so this is one thing I also wanted to touch on. But notice in this case we used, just one single character which I already defined. But what if I have, like a string name, and then let's just actually give it a name, like let's say Walsh. So now I want to iterate over each single character of my string and then determine if that is actually going to be uppercase or lowercase. So let's do that. So for this, if you recall, when we worked on strings, there is, length of the string. So for instance, if I do int len for length, name.length, and then do s out len, it should actually be 5. That's, 5 different characters in the string name. So let's actually now do a for loop to iterate over every single character and determine if it's uppercase or lowercase. So I don't need this actually now, so I'm just gonna comment that. So for int I is 0, I is less than name.length, which is actually len, and then I plus plus. Let me do s out. So now remember that .char at method. That's essentially what we're gonna do. So now we're just gonna say name, that's my string here, char at I. Remember when we talked about this, all the strings, they start with index 0, and then they go up from there depending on how many characters are in the string. So now, obviously, if I don't need to run this, if I just run that, See, essentially I get this one, essentially every single character. And now I can kind of combine these two methods. So the char at, I can actually, do something like this. So let's say char temp is name.char at I. So this is just going to be whatever character, so WALSH in this case. And then what I'm going to do is, to make it simple, just have that, like in its own line. So now I can say Boolean val is just going to be character that is uppercase temp. And then essentially what I'm going to do is when I print, so I'm just going to print the character, and then whether it's uppercase or lowercase, I'm just going to print temp plus space plus val. Let's see if that's going to work. So yeah, W, true is uppercase, lowercase, and obviously everything is lowercase. So I'm just essentially these 4 ones are all false. But essentially now I can do an if statement and say, well, if it's uppercase, rather than just printing true or false, we're just gonna actually print something more meaningful. So for instance, now I can do something like if val equal to true. I'm just gonna print this one. I'm just gonna copy that, and then temp, and then some space upper, and then else I'm just gonna actually do, and then lower, something like that. Just run that. So upper, lower, lower, lower. So essentially this is the idea. And again, this is the last part of chapter 4, so you can always go to the textbook and read more about these. But essentially this is the idea. So we did some looping, we iterated over every character on the string. And since we know the character, we can always use is uppercase or is lowercase. And essentially from there, we're able to give some meaningful information for the user so that they pretty much know what exactly they're about to do. So in this case, we just use the, like name Walsh, but obviously you can take a string from the user and do all sorts of things you want to do with that string. I think this is the idea, and if you get that, it should not be really that difficult to complete the rest on your own. So this needs to be submitted on ECN under your own Dropbox. One thing and one quick thing, which I think should be obvious at this point, but I thought I'm going to talk about it anyways. Remember this one? We actually go through the string character by character, starting from the first character, because I is starting, like from 0, go to the end. But I can always do my for loop in different ways. So I can actually do int I, but I is just going to be the len in this case, -1, and then I should be greater than or equal to 0, and then I can actually do I minus minus. So in that case, if I have my for loop done this way, it's going to be kind of a little different, because I will start with my last character in the string and then move backwards until I get my first character of the string. So I think, again, it should be obvious, but because one of the questions will ask you to print those characters in reverse, and that's exactly what you need to do. Okay, so that's it for today. I'm not sure when my next video will be, but if you have questions, as I said earlier in my email, you can always ask. Make your questions public, so this way we kind of have some interaction happening in the class. Okay, so thank you so much, guys. I hope this has been helpful. Again, share your knowledge, ask questions, do whatever you think is helpful, so everybody is benefiting from that. Have a great day, guys. I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.